What time is it? It's game time. Tyvis, you weren't here yesterday when we discussed at length the fans' reaction to when Deshaun Watson got hurt, and then the players' reaction to the fans' reaction to that situation. And you, as a former player who spent 4 years in the NFL, does that kind of stuff impact players' decisions to sign with a certain team? Do those rumors and those conversations about how a fan base treated a player in that particular instance, does that have any impact on a player's decision when it comes to his future with a certain team?
No, that's not something that somebody thinks about off the top of their head. When you signing with a team, obviously I was never in this case. I was taking whatever job was available to me. But, being around and listening to guys, obviously the money plays a big part. The city plays a big part. How the game plan and the scheme and the team success. Those are like the four things that everybody kind of looks at. You get there when you go on your tours, you see the facilities. Obviously, that's another part of it.
Browns don't have any of those advantages except for the money.
But when you think about like the fan base, listen, when you think about the Browns fans, you think about Philly fans, Cowboys, you just think that those are passionate people, And the good news is if I come here and I do my job and do what I'm supposed to do, I would never be on the bad side of the fans, a la Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, guys like that. You never really end up on the bad side of the fan base. So that's not something that I'm thinking about. Because if I'm a player, I'm going to think I'm not going to put myself in a situation for them to be booing me. Like, you always look at the best.
Well, you never know. But
you're right, but you always go in there like I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah, right.
And if I do stink, then they boo me and I stink, then I deserve to be booed.
This was a pretty unique
But
circumstance.
the cheering on I wasn't a fan of the fans cheering for an injury. But I'm also at the same point that I understand you paid your money, you do what you want to do. Like, I'm not going to tell you what you can't.
And let's face it, every Browns fan is being painted with the same brush, and that's unfair. What percentage of the fans were actually cheering the injury? And those people should be admonished. I mean, it's a lame thing to do, but
it was a nice cheer.
You shouldn't blame every Browns fan.
I agree with that.
It shouldn't sully the whole fan base.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Behavior.
So listen. A lot of people. There are a lot of players that reached out to me, and I'm like, I don't know why you're talking to me. It's like, listen, I ain't no source guy, right? But there was a lot of players that reached out and said, we just want to give you our take on it, like our side of the thing. So, by the way, don't kill the messenger. I'm just holding the mirror up. Like, you guys can take it for a grain of salt or whatever the case may be. I don't get on the stick and be like talking about, I talked to so-and-so 2 days ago. That's not my game plan. But from the perspective of this, a lot of the people that reached out to me, I'm not going to say they represent everybody in the locker room, but the people that reached out to me said there's a perspective of they just didn't appreciate the fact that, like, they felt like in this fan base, if you put the jersey on, you one of us, right? You one of us, right? And a lot of people, they said the thought process is, everybody has different things. Everybody has different things that they may go through on the field or off the field, right? But when you put the jersey on and you going out there and you trying to perform and you trying to do your thing, and if one person is down on the ground and he's hurt, they looking at it like, that could be me. There's no difference between that person and me. Like, so, I'm looking at myself and I'm putting myself in that person's shoes. Like, what if that was me laying down there and people is cheering? And it's not, and they also made it clear that they didn't think it was everybody. But they also said that, like, this isn't the first time this has happened. Like, they brought up a situation where a lot of people didn't like the fact that Myles Garrett, like, spoke up. And as soon as he spoke up, they brought up the fact, oh, aren't you the same guy that hit somebody with a helmet? Mm-hmm. And they was really mad about that because they like,
it's like you've been holding that in reserve.
You've been keeping that in the tuck forever.
Yeah.
And yet and still, but you don't, do you remember, do we want to talk about why he hit him with the helmet?
Right.
So that's for them. They like, well, guys, like, it's not just you know, a lot of people are saying that it's about the allegations, it's about the allegations, it's about the allegations. They're like, no, it's not about the allegations, because you cheered when Odell Beckham Jr. got hurt on Twitter. You said, good, we're ready to go. We could throw the ball to somebody else.
Now, to be fair, it's not, none of this is cool. But every fan base, unfortunately, is going to behave the same way.
Right.
There's going to be a percentage of every fan base in America that's going to behave the same way. So that shouldn't be specifically held against Brown fans.
No, and I think a lot of them, and the more overarching theme, again, let me repeat this. This is not G. Bush coming in and tell you what it is. This is what people are explaining in lengthy conversations. They're saying, listen, in general, a lot of the players have a problem that sometimes the fans don't even view them as human beings with feelings and different things.
That's right.
And what they're trying to tell you is they may mix up different words and say they put their life on the line. Put it to you like this. And this changed kind of the way I see it. Yeah, that's hyperbole. Like, I don't like to say we going to war, we doing the things, because there's really like people who do those things. They said, but listen, let me put it to you like this, G. Bush. What about Junior Seau? What about the people with CTE?
What about DeMar Hamlin?
What about DeMar? Those are the consequences of playing football. And yes, we make a lot of money. We get that. We understand that we make a lot of money, and that may separate you from viewing us as regular people. But sometimes if you guys aren't going to do it, we can't make you do that. But what we can do is come to the aid of a person that's in the locker room. And we're going to do that 100% out of 100 times. Yeah. Just as we're saying where the fans have a right to boo and they have a right to say certain things, his teammates have a right to say, no, we're going to stick up for our guy. So that was the main thought process.
Players are going to, just like you feel however you feel as a fan, you feel whatever you feel about Deshaun Watson, you feel whatever you feel about booing. Players feel whatever they feel about your reaction or whatever. I mean,
I don't understand.
We don't have to deal with the same crap that players have to deal with.
I don't understand why is it that, and I already know the answer.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people can say what they want to say, but a player can't say what they want to say. I don't want to hear, you make $1 billion. Like, that don't mean anything.
No, you're right.
Well, they pay me. You get paid.
By the way, I don't think
who cares?
I don't think fans should be able to say whatever they want to say. I mean, now, what can you do about it? I mean, I don't know that there's any recourse. But, yeah, fan behavior is terrible at times. And that's, again, it's a small percentage of people that cross that line, but there are people like that, and they're despicable. And it's because of social media, everybody is faceless and nameless, and because I think when maybe our parents were kids, like especially you and IG, like when our parents were kids, players interacted with fans more, and as the money's gotten bigger, there's less interaction.
You know why? You know why it's less interaction? Because every time you try to interact, it's somebody that's going to say something negative, and you don't want to have to cuss that person out, then get them even more popular. So people will be like, you know what? I'm just not going to respond to nobody.
What? And right or wrong, listen. Jason Lloyd has his mentions.
Oh, I do too.
Right? Like you don't have your mentions?
No, I took it. I learned from Jason.
Okay. I
can't
Jason
see
says
nothing.
to me and Earl and G.
Oh no.
The only way I'm gonna see it is if I follow you, you tweet.
He says all the time, you guys should block your mentions.
Hey, no.
I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. And I get it. I'm not a player, but we're in the public eye. People know us. We have followers. But I'm not going to ignore my mentions because of the 5% of jerks, or 10, even if it's 10%, because I want to be able to communicate with appreciative fans who support us and help us make money.
I'm in it. You know the coolest thing? I love this. I'm in the chat when I'm during this show. A lot of people say, they don't understand. Like, this. I'm supposed to be in the chat. You know why? Because this is what I do. I'm interacting with the people in real time. They can say, like, I can talk right here. And then in real time, the people that's in the chat can get real-time feedback on
That's
everything
right.
and talk, and that's what makes the show different from other shows. But I'm not going to not be in the comment section because a couple of people is like saying stuff.
And when I was doing the Guardians post game, I was trying to read every chat in the chat group. Now, some of those games, eventually I got so many viewers, which was great, that I couldn't read every one. But I'm willing to read 10 tweets a day of people calling me a fat ass, go eat a salad, and all that crap. I'm willing, it's funny, I'm willing to put up with that.
Right.
You know, what did Baker do? Sleep with your wife? That's why you made. Yeah. I'm willing to put up with that for and the Baker stuff is fine because I bust balls on that, so I deserve to have my balls busted back. I think you leave family out of it, but people do whatever they do. But I'm willing to put up with that crap for the fans that are great fans that ask me questions or just want to say something or whatever. I like those interactions with fans, and I'm not going to give that up for the small percentage of jerks. I'm not saying the players have to do that or on social media. And there are plenty of players who interact with fans in a nice way sometimes, and that's cool. I'm just saying in general, there feels like a bigger divide between players and fans, and social media makes everybody so nameless. And we get so worked up in our camps, right, like we do with politics, and we're going nuts. This guy sucks, and I do it. This guy sucks. This guy's a scrub. This guy's a... And we take it to a point where it's like, once we start talking about their families, then we've crossed the line. You say a guy sucks on Twitter, all right, whatever. He's a player. It's not the end of the world. Once we start crossing into their personal lives, talking about their children or their families or their parents, that's crazy.
That's when I would say.
That's when it's way crossed the line.
Send me your location.
And I always say this. I try, so and this kind of morphed into certain things. Here's what I would say to a lot of fans, right? I understand that your fandom, no one's questioning your fandom. Like, for those fans who don't boo and don't do certain things like that, you guys shouldn't get triggered by somebody calling out a segment of your population that is doing something that you feel is inappropriate.
Yeah.
If you're a fan and you just a hard-nosed fan and you root for your team and when they suck, you say they suck, but you're not into booing nobody, you guys shouldn't be mad or angry that we're calling fans out, because then you're taking up the mantle for something you don't have to take.
That is strange. I did have... and there are some fans that you've become friendly with that I've become like I text with some fans because I know them. I've gotten to know them over the years. And I had 3 or 4 guys text me and say, hey, I would never boo in that situation, but I understand why the fans did it, and screw the players. They don't need to lecture to me. And I understand. Listen, this is not it's a complicated issue. There's a lot in play here. But ultimately, as I said yesterday, I feel like when you revel in somebody's pain, when somebody's injury, you debase yourself. You make yourself look bad. You don't like Deshaun Watson. Okay, I get it. I get why you wouldn't like him. Fair or not, I understand it. People are going to believe what they want to believe. But when you cheer for somebody getting hurt, that's just... And I know we were supposed to kind of move the subject along. I get it.
But and I'll try to put a nice little neat bow on it. Yeah. Like, look, man, we are passionate about our teams. We're passionate about certain things. But at the end of the day, man, it's entertainment. Yeah. It's things that we do to pass the time. There's real life things going on out here that can get real scary. And look, Deshaun Watson got hurt. He's going to have to go through that process, and getting hurt is part of football.
Yeah.
As a fan base, I think it's time that we move forward and say, all right, let's just remember this when we get a new quarterback, because we're going to get one. Sometimes as fan bases, we can learn from certain things, right? Like, we learned that the fan base was divided under Baker, or divided with Watson, or divided with this and that, and that, third. We have that experience level. We understand how it is for a guy like Tim Couch to get booed when he's on the ground and they hear that.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we could just say, look, man, I know we're passionate. Let's try to remember some of these things as we move forward. And hopefully, if we can get to winning football games, we, like Tyvis said, we don't have to worry about that, right?